Atypical security guard finishing up the night. I'm going to do a Ask a Security Guard, so you can ask any questions that you'd like tonight. And while we're doing that, I will be talking about my favorite security guard movies. I should probably, let me see, because my memory is bad. What is this? Hang on. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to make a note of my 5. Can I get 5? All right, let me think here. I'm going to write these down. That one. That one. That one's on my list. What is the name of that other one? Ooh. It's the guy from The Office. I think it's called Don't Tell a Soul. Paul Blart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all right. So I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite security guard movies. And while I'm talking about the security guard movies, you guys can ask me questions in the comment section. So you can ask me anything. The only thing I ask you guys this every single time: do not waste time trolling. All right. Ooh, perfect. Man, Vincent, you hit me with a question that is not necessarily related to private security, but I've been dealing with this actually. So let me answer this. Vincent says, how do you deal with toxic in-laws and friends coming back into your life? Wow. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I have had a problem with my father for the past 3 years. Up until last week, I had not talked to my dad in over 3 years. So we had a falling out. There's some stuff that happened that I'm not going to get into. Long story short, like, I came to the realization that he was not good for me. He was not good in my life, and I needed some space, right? I'm the kind of person where I don't really have a difficult time cutting people off. So he did something that really frustrated me, upset me, hurt my feelings, and I cut him off for over 3 years. And then my stepmother died last week before last. So with her dying and him being in his old age, you know, nothing snaps you back into reality. Now, the question is, does her death and what he's going through, what he's dealing with in his grief, does that absolve him of what he did that caused that separation? And the answer is no. However, sometimes in life, you have to put things aside for the betterment of the situation. I had to take my personal situation that I have with my dad, put that on the back burner, and be there for him in terms of offering comfort and consoling in that situation, right? And it really gave me a firm understanding of grace, right? We have to be willing to show grace to people, because if we don't show grace to people, grace won't be shown to us. Now, here's the kicker in this entire situation. I have an issue with my father that needs to be resolved, and I have children who have issues with me that still need to be resolved. So it was very clear to me in my stepmother's recent death that death comes for all of us. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to happen. And if you don't show people grace, you won't be shown grace. I could very easily be in this same situation, 20 years from now, 10 years from now. So long story short, my advice to you is that if it's something that can be rectified and worked out, I would say do that. If it can't, and you have to have a different relationship with these people based on your experience with them, that's okay too. It's not wrong for you to create boundaries and set expectations for people that have violated your trust or violated your relationship, okay? And that includes family. So if they're toxic, don't allow them in a position where they can create havoc for you. But if they're family and you still need to have interaction with them, don't cut them off completely. That would be my advice. Create boundaries, set expectations, know what they bring to the table, what they don't bring to the table, and then move forward with that knowledge. Okay, that would be my advice. So let me give you guys my first movie. My first movie is going to be Armored. Armored is a movie about not necessarily security guards, but it is about armored truck drivers that do like the money transport. And it's got Matt Dillon and a whole bunch of other people. And there's like 4 or 5 guys that work on the team, and they all want this one dude to go in with them to rob the truck, and he doesn't want to do it. So like that, it's got Lawrence Fishburne and a whole bunch of other people. They want to rob the truck. He doesn't want to rob the truck. So then it becomes an issue between them. So that is my number. That'll be my number 5 movie. Okay. Armored is my number 5 security guard movie of all time. Let me see what my next question is. William Hampton says, how many years in the private security industry? Technically, 4 in Portland, say 2 in Pennsylvania, so that would be 6. If you're just talking private security, I'm going to say 7 years. If you're just talking private security. But if you put that with my time working in a county jail, working in a state prison, and then working as a Pennsylvania state constable, I'm more around 10 to 12 years. And then if you count my military, you're looking at like close to 20 years of doing this across the board. So I have a lot of experience in a lot of different avenues of security, but working directly in private security, I would say 6 total. Vincent says half siblings. Yeah, you know, hey man, it's family. Try your best to work it out, man. Try your best to work it out. You know, whatever you have to do. My number 2 movie is going to be next Friday. I think that next Friday is where Craig and Day Day are doing private security. I'm pretty sure it's next Friday. I have only seen Next Friday probably 3 to 5 times, and I never really appreciated it until I started working private security, but simply for the fact that everybody says the phrase top flight security of the world, Craig, and that everybody calls us Day Day. You know, you got to have that in there. So I'm putting it at number 4 because it's an iconic movie and it does not deserve to be in a low spot like number 5. So I'm going to give it number 4. What's my next question? Let's see here. Oh, somebody says that was Friday after next. All right. So number 4 is going to be Friday after next. Vincent says, what are good private security companies? Well, your major private security companies are going to be Allied Universal, G4S. I don't know if they were bought by Allied Universal or not yet. Securitas. But those are your most prominent companies and your largest companies, but they are not the best companies. Those are the companies where it's going to be easiest for you to get in. But remember this, low barrier of entry generally means low level of service, right? Let me say that again. Very low bar of entry generally means that they're putting out a very low level of service. Good companies are companies that do 4 things. Number 1, invest in your training. If a company does not care enough to train you, that is not a good company. You can work for any company that's out there. There's lots of companies that you can work for. You asked me, what are some good companies? Good companies invest in their training. Good companies allow for their officers to advance. If there's nowhere for you to go other than just maintaining as a security guard, working as a patrol officer or a standing officer, that is not a good company. Again, it's a company, but it's not a good company. Number 3, if they don't pay you a decent wage, if they don't respect you enough to actually pay you for what you're doing, you're working for a company, it's not a good company. Number 4, I'm sorry. Some of y'all are going to get upset. Number 4, if you're working only unarmed contracts, that is not a good company. If they're putting you in a position where you do not have the ability to protect yourself or the people that you're working around or with, that is not a good company. You're working for a company, but you're not working for a good company, okay? Next movie, number 3. Number 3 is going to be Paul Blart. I actually like Paul Blart. I don't like the fact that people associate private security with Paul Blart. That is definitely not me. That's not my company. That's not what we do, right? And unfortunately, that movie was such a damn hit. It was such a hit that that's what people associate with us, right? You know what's crazy? There are so many low-life, dirtbag, scumball bouncers. And I can say that because I used to work in the bouncing industry. I've worked in nightclubs. I've worked events. I've worked as a bouncer in professional wrestling settings. And I've worked as a bouncer in strip clubs. I've seen it. I've watched it. And I've done a lot of it. Okay? But as skeevy and dirty and underground and under the table as bouncing can be as a profession, what is bouncing associated with? Roadhouse, one of the coolest movies ever to be filmed, right? Patrick Swayze doing martial arts, doing splits in between the trees, right? Driving a big ass monster truck. I'm not talking about the remake of Roadhouse. I'm talking about the actual Roadhouse. They are associated with that badass movie Roadhouse, and private security guards are associated with Paul Blart. Now, to be honest, Paul Blart stood on business and he got a lot of stuff done in those movies. But unfortunately, you know, that's the stereotype. That's how people see us. And, you know, it is what it is. But Paul Blart is my number 3 movie on my list. What's my next question? Boom, 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 boom. Someone says, yeah, but do you get to ride on a Segway? I've always wondered if I would actually ride on a Segway if I had opportunity to. And I probably would. I work 16-hour shifts. My feet, they start to hurt after a while. So maybe a Segway would be dope. I'm not going to lie. What pair of boots do you say are the best? This is coming from Fateless. This might surprise you. All right? This might surprise you. And I've been telling everybody, the best boots, and I have put a lot of miles on my boots, guys. I used to say that the Merrell Moab 2, let me say that again. The Merrell Moab 2 was the best duty boot that I had ever used. But as of this year, the best boot that I have ever worn is a Keen boot, K-E-E-N. Most of you guys know Keen. It's like, you know, a company very similar to Carhartt. Like they make, you know, work type shoes and work type boots and like more construction type stuff. I bought a pair of Keen boots off of Amazon. These things broke in. I don't know what the number is to these boots, but they're gray with like yellow Keen on it, right? These things broke in and they just molded to my foot. And they are the most comfortable shoes that I have ever worn. Now, I do not agree, personally, I do not agree with private security guards wearing sneakers. I hate that. I can't stand seeing private security guards wearing sneakers, tennis shoes. It needs to be a boot, preferably a steel toe boot, but definitely a boot. At the very least, it should be like a hybrid. The Merrell Moab 2s are like a high top military style boot, but they're like a tactical boot. They're very, you know, moldable and movable, and you zip them up on the side. Those are dope, but they are not nearly as comfortable. I have 2 pair of those at the house. I won't even look at them until I burn these Keen boots out. These Keen boots have been phenomenal. So they're gray with a little bit of like yellow on them, and you can find them on Amazon. They're sick. Movie number 2, and this is a little piece of trivia, is going to be the movie P, the letter P, like Paul, P2. The movie P2 is about a security guard that works at an office building, and he works the parking garage. And there is a woman that's working late, and she, you know, goes down, and I guess he has like a crush on her, and he's basically stalking her the entire movie. She can't get out. It's like Christmas Eve or something like that. The guy that plays in that movie, his name is Wes Bentley. Wes Bentley plays Jamie on Yellowstone. Let me say this again. The guy in that movie, his name is Wes Bentley. He currently plays Jamie on Yellowstone. That is my best friend from high school. I'm so proud of him. He is an amazing actor. He's doing awesome in Hollywood. But this was one of his first roles, one of his first breakout movies where he actually starred in that movie. And it's about private security. And it's one of my favorite movies. It's a good movie. I'm not going to say it's a great movie, but he gets graded on a curve because it's my boy. And I love him. And I love that movie and the fact that it's about private security. P2, a horror flick. That's my number 2 movie. Let me ask another question here, or see what another question is. Mike G, I have some steel toe Dickies now, but I have been Red Wing and Doc Martens. Yeah, I have some Doc Martens, but I wore those Doc Martens when I first started working private security here in Portland. When I was doing executive protection, they blew my feet out. Not only did they blow my feet out, but it messed up my knee. Like there's something about the way that the Doc Martens are positioned for me. They're just not working. Maybe it's because I'm getting older or something. Let's see here. Someone says you have to get permission to go live before you do during your shift. I'm not on the clock right now, guys. I'm off. Doc Marten is more of a dress type shoe. Yep. Yeah, from working. I like Doc Martens, and they're my favorite boots. I have a pair of Doc Martens that are over 20 years old. But yeah, definitely not going to wear those working in private security. They did not work at all for me, right? Let's see here. Who is this? Ride with something. Do you agree polished boots helps with your command presence? I don't think so. Like, you know, I guess it depends on where you work. If you work in a really corporate type environment, maybe that would be the case. But I work in a really dirty area. I mean, I work in a dirty part of town around a really dirty element of society. I don't think that having polished boots would change anything. Most of the people that I deal with are fairly high or mentally unstable. They're not really paying attention to what I have on my feet. But if you're in a corporate setting, I mean, I think it would show professionalism. It would probably be helpful. Yeah. Someone says 5'11" boots. I have found that 5'11" boots generally are not good for my feet. Okay, let's see here. Last movie. My favorite movie that is a security guard movie. I think this is the name of the movie. It's called Don't Tell a Soul. And Don't Tell a Soul has the guy that's in The Office, I think. One of the guys from The Office, and it's got Mina Savari plays like the mom. The whole premise of the movie, these two kids, they robbed this house. They robbed the house of some cash and some other stuff, and while they're running away, like, I don't know if the security guard is chasing them or what the situation is. Somehow this security guard ends up falling in this hole out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, right? So now the security guard who saw these kids break into this house or know that these kids broke into this house, he's now trapped in this like 12-foot hole. And the two kids are like, you know, teenagers. It's one of the kids from the movie It. So now they've got this dilemma. Do they let this guy out and he can rat him out, or do they just let him stay in the hole and they keep the money? And so that's like the issue. The two brothers end up fighting over it. And then the security guard, he starts to realize there's a crack in the relationship, and he starts playing the brothers against each other because one's coming back to check on him. And it's a really, really good movie, psychological thriller. And the fact that this person from The Office, who generally plays a funny character, he generally plays like a, you know, more of a comedic role. He's in this kind of, I don't want to say serial killer, but definitely a criminal. It's a really, really good movie, and I think it's called Don't Tell a Soul. Okay. So that was my 5, right? Let me do that again. Let me go through my 5. So number 5 was Armored. Number 4 was Friday After Next. Number 3 was Paul Blart. Number 2 was P2. And number 1 is Don't Tell a Soul. Those are my top 5 security guard movies. And then let me see if there's one more question for me to answer before I get off of here. Let me see here. 24 hours, that'll work. Okay, perfect question. Protect 2A, what is your EDC firearm? Generally, I carry a snub nose 38, which is either a Kimber K6 XS or the Kimber K6S. Sorry, Kimber K6 or the Kimber K6 XS. I have both of them. Or the Ruger LCR Copper Mule or a Smith & Wesson J-frame. My favorite EDC of all times is a snub nose 38 revolver or a snub nose 357 revolver. I love revolvers and I love carrying a revolver as an EDC. Why? Small, hammerless, compact, very easy to wear. I wear a gun from the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to bed. I always have a firearm on me. If you're carrying a Glock 19, even a Glock 43X, it can get heavy, it can get cumbersome, it can get uncomfortable. A nice Ruger LCR, which is made of polymer, it's as light as my cell phone. It's got rounded corners, there's no hammer on it. I can wear that thing appendix all day long. I carry a speed loader with an extra 5 rounds. If I'm carrying my Kimber, it's got an extra 6 rounds. Put that on a Neo clip. It's just a magnet that goes in your pocket and I'm set. I'm not planning on getting into a shootout with anybody. If I need to utilize my firearm, more than likely around here, it's gonna be at what I call crackhead distance, which is super up close and personal. Snub nose 38 is perfect to break that contact. That is what I roll with. Was that Don't Tell a Soul movie about those teenagers that robbed that? No, that is called Don't Breathe. Yeah, the movie that you're thinking about is called Don't Breathe, and that is my top 2 movies of all time. Don't Breathe 1, Don't Breathe 2, phenomenal movies, and I'm hoping that they make a 3rd one. But yeah, you're thinking about Don't Breathe. Yeah. All right, let me see if there's anything else. Terry says, how are you doing today? I'm doing great. All right, guys, that's it. It's dinner time. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm getting home as soon as I can. Give my wife a big smooch, drink a couple of beers, watch a movie tonight, and tomorrow it's all about getting to the gym. Are you guys working out? Do you guys take your physical fitness seriously? I'm looking to get back into jiu-jitsu starting on Tuesday of next week. And I'm really excited. So pray for me. I'm going to be super sore and in a lot of pain because I have not gone to jiu-jitsu in a long time, but it's time. I got to lose this weight. I got to get in better shape. All right. Thomas, you dirty dog. And the answer is yes, motherfucker. Absolutely. All right. Y'all have a great night.